Hello, Just Too Good here, back for another thoughts video, and today I'm going to be expressing my thoughts on LEGO Minifigures Series 13. Now, Series 13 comes out in January 2015, but it's never too early to do a thoughts video if you got some really good quality pictures. And that's what I got. I got the pictures that were revealed last week, and also the pictures from White Fang's review on Eurobricks. And White Fang, he reviews all the LEGO Minifigures series in really professional fashion, so if you want to see that review, you can check out the link to those in the descriptions. Hope he doesn't mind that I'm using some of his pictures in this video. But without further ado, let's take a look at LEGO Minifigures Series 13. Now, Series 13 has that $4 price point. I think it really gets kind of excused for this time because there's some very awesome moldings here. And there's not a really better example than the Classic King, who has a very nice molding with his hair and his crown combo. Love how that came out. Also, he has some pretty cool kind of designs for his cape, which he has two different cape pieces. And together they look very, very well done, and they look a little bit like a very kind of kind of a traditional king that we're used to seeing from different properties other than LEGO. Because the LEGO kings, well, the ones that we see always use that same kind of crown piece with no kind of beard piece because of that. But this one has that new kind of short beard piece that we've seen a few times before in some other sets. And overall, it just looks like a very, very awesome minifigure. I think I have to say he's probably my favorite of this series, besides maybe the Paleontologist. Next up is the Sheriff, and this guy, while he's not one of my least favorites, he's not one of my favorites. He's alright, he's just kind of in the middle. I kind of like Western minifigures, so I guess I could kind of find a use to him because I have a little bit of a Western setup going on, but it's nothing really extravagant, trust me. But he has some nice continuity going on as well, because the Wanted poster has a Series 6 Bandit on it, which I think that's some pretty awesome printing with that. Also, he has a Sheriff Not a Robot's beard or mustache piece in that brown color, so that's nice to get that piece in a new color. And yeah, not too much else that's really kind of extravagant on him. He has some nice torso and legs printing, and a pretty cool hat printing, but he's a pretty decent minifigure. Next up on the list is the Unicorn Girl, and this girl is really just adorable. I really love how this minifigure came out. She's probably one of my favorites as well. I like the design on her face print. I think her face prints really well, but of course the best part is her mask and her tail piece. The tail piece is a completely new molding altogether, as well as a mask. And they're really kind of specific to this minifigure, but they're so wacky, I could kind of excuse it this time, and I will definitely find a use for them, no matter what. They're a little bit of a shadow, I guess, to the brony culture as well, because I know there's a lot of bronies who like cosplaying, like stuff like that. I'm not a brony in particular, so don't ask me, are you a brony? What's your favorite pony or whatnot? But there's some great pieces going on here. And her tail kind of looks a little bit like rarities from the show, which is kind of funny. Her torso and her legs are really kind of cute too, and they match the overall design. So overall, just a really nice minifigure. And if you look at her face, it looks like she's a little bit chubby, which is going to be very usable for different, I guess, female minifigures. So I will definitely be using that headpiece as well as the whole costume overall. Very cute minifigure. Next up is the Snake Charmer. This guy's alright. It was one of the first ones we saw. He has a new turban molding, which is kind of weird because we got a turban mold that we've been using for many years that was just fine the way it is. But I guess it's always nice to get a new molding. He also has a very nice torso, which is kind of this green collared shirt. It looks a little bit like, and it has a very nice bead design with a bead necklace. And he also has a very nice little cobra molding as his accessory, which looks very cool. Love how that came out. It's a completely new molding altogether. And overall, just a very well-made minifigure. Next up is the Goblin. A lot of people's favorites, and he's one of my favorites as well. I love his head kind of, or his hat piece, which is also an ear combo as well, because the ears are also molded onto that piece. And it just looks fantastic. I love how it came out. And also, a lot of people are going to be really hyped up for this, and they already are, because that hat piece could be used for the Green Goblin from the LEGO Marvel Superhero Series. Hopefully we will get one soon, maybe next year, but I guess we have to wait to see. But speaking on this minifigure, he has some very cool kind of face design, which looks very menacing, as well as some very nice torso and legs design. But the best part is really the hat piece, which looks fantastic, a completely new molding altogether. And I'm definitely going to be using this guy for a little bit of maybe some custom castle minifigures, because I always love making custom castle minifigures for different factions and whatnot. Next up is a Paleontologist. This one's probably my favorite, along with the Classic King, because she is just too adorable. I love her hair hat combo going on, and that's a completely new molding altogether, which looks so cute. And also she has a very kind of cute kind of a face design right there with the glasses, kind of a smiling, smirking face. And she has some very nice legs as well, which the legs I think they could be used outside of the Paleontologist setup or Explorer setup in a regular LEGO City, I guess, setup or whatnot. And her torso looks great too. Her torso is very cool, and it kind of matches the minifigure overall. And she has a nice accessory with a printed 1x1 circular tile, which has a little bit of a helix fossil design. So a lot of people who watched Twitch Plays Pokemon are going to like that. So that's it for this minifigure. Now on to the next. Next up is the Alien Trooper, and this guy is fantastic. I love how he came out. He barely missed my cut for my top 5 minifigures, but I love the colors on him. I think the colors on this guy really stand out. If you remember when we first saw the headpiece when it was revealed on Taoboo.com, we thought, or at least I thought in particular, that he could be even used for a Zoidberg if you painted it all red. And I think you could still use that, so I want to see some customizers do that to paint the minifigure all red. But again, in that video, I also said that it's most likely used for the Alien Trooper, and I guess I was right there. And you could see his torso and his legs are just really cool with this kind of bright blue colors, which look very nice overall to complement his bright kind of green head molding, which is a completely new molding altogether. And only weak parts of him is really his accessory, which is just that alien, or it's the Dino 2012 gun, I think. It's just a gun piece that we've gotten before. It also has a little radar dish, which is nothing special if you ask me. Other than that, the head molding, torso, and legs make up for it, and he is a great minifigure. Next up is Egyptian Warrior. This guy is a very well-made minifigure, but I don't really like him because I don't really have a use for him. I really only use, I guess, castle and city minifigures and some really wacky minifigures, but this guy, I don't know, he's just a lot like the Series 2 Pharaoh, which I also didn't care for. Maybe if I get some more Pharaoh's Quest sets or something like the big pyramid, maybe I'd like him. But he has kind of a very nice new design for a molding for his hat piece and his shield piece, which are 2 new molds just for him. And I guess his torso and his legs are alright, as well as his face print, but I don't know, not one that really pops out for me in terms of design. So not one of my favorites, and probably one of my least favorites, I guess, in my top 5, unfortunately. Next up is the Carpenter, and this guy is really cool. I'm surprised at how good this guy came out. The first piece we saw from him was the saw on Taoboo, but his design overall is very awesome and well done as well. I'm a sucker for city minifigures, and this guy doesn't disappoint. He has a very nice torso design, which has kind of a collared shirt that's a very kind of casual collared shirt. Only part I don't like about that is the little saw and hammer design on it. Also, his legs are very nice as well, because his legs have kind of a very handy look to them. That matches the overall design. But I can see a lot of people using that outside of the handyman kind of fashion or whatnot, which is going to be really cool. Also, his plank of wood, which is another one of his accessories, is a very nice 1x4 printed tile, and I think that's a really cool accessory. Also, his face kind of reminds me of my debate teacher from, I think, 9th grade or something like that. And his hat is probably my favorite part about him besides the saw, because it's that hat and hair combo that Emmett had in a bright orange color, which I think the design of that is very awesome overall. So yeah, one of my favorite minifigures for sure of this series, in my top 5 at least. Next up is the Evil Wizard, and this guy looks a lot like a character from Manos the Hands of Fate. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. It's a very interesting movie, I'd say, not for the right reasons. But he has a very nice cape design for his top cape and his bottom cape, and also some pretty nice torso and legs designs. And his torso reminds me a little bit of Ashley from the WarioWare series. I don't know why. I love WarioWare games. He's just, I don't know, there's something about him that I guess we came off of the Series 12 minifigure of the Wizard, which was so good. And getting this guy who's a lot like him, I don't know, it just doesn't make him one of my favorites. This is a Fencer, and the Fencer, I don't really like this minifigure too much. I don't know. I know it's a city minifigure, but I don't have much of a use for him. And I'm kind of a little bit ticked that he has the rapier again, because we've gotten that rapier 4 times throughout LEGO Minifigures Series. I mean, it was fine with the Series 4, I think it was Musketeer or something like that. And then we got it with the Conquistador, which I guess was alright. But then we got it with that guy from the last series. I think it was like I forgot what his name, but that guy, it was just, I did not like that one. And then getting it another time this series, it feels like they're using that archetype a lot of these little sword fighters that have very limited use. And yeah, I wish his torso would have not had that little rapier design on it with the little logo right there, because it would have looked so much better. But because it has that logo on there, it really limits the use. Nevertheless, he does have a very nice helmet mold, which is a completely new molding exclusive to him altogether. But still, not one of my favorites. Next up is a samurai, and this is a female samurai, and this minifigure I don't really like as well. I think she looks a lot like the Series 3 samurai, and I don't know why they made another samurai when she doesn't have any new moldings or whatnot. And really, I don't know. I think her little bodyguard piece right there, chest plate on there, is actually a pretty cool design, even though it is the same mold as the one from Series 3. But it's just, she doesn't really pop out that much. I guess she has some pretty cool legs, but I'm not really digging this minifigure for reasons I can't explain too much. It's just, I don't know, she's just not one of my favorites, and she's in my least favorites because she just feels too much like the Series 3 Samurai, and I'm just rambling on at this point, guys. Next up is the Disco Diva. This girl is not one of my favorites as well. Like, the last two minifigures, including this one, have been in my top 5 least favorites. And she is, I don't know, it's just the idea a lot like the samurai. Why would they make another disco minifigure? I mean, disco is such a niche little time period. And it's like, why do we need 2 minifigures from that era? She's a really well-designed minifigure for the complexity of the designs on her. She has 2 arm side printing designs, which look really nice. And she has some side printing on her legs, which look really nice. But it's just like, I don't know, I can't find a use for this minifigure. She's very kind of niche. Her hair piece is really nice, I guess, to get that clown hair in that brown color, which I could definitely use that for some minifigures. But yeah, the rest of the design, I don't know. I wish her pants were kind of a different color than purple, because it's nice to get some chains on their pants. But the people who wear chains in kind of this modern era, I don't think would wear purple pants. So again, I can't really use that in any minifigure, so she's just not one of my favorites for that reason. And definitely my least favorites, top 3 maybe. Next up is a hot dog guy, and while a lot of people dig this minifigure, and I really love this minifigure at first, he's kind of in the middle now. I guess he's really wacky, so I guess that's the reason why I like him a lot, but I just wish that we would get a bun piece for, hot dogs, because of that, we don't really have much of a use for this guy. It just doesn't make sense, because we only have the wiener piece in Lego, the little sausage or the frank piece, but we don't have a proper bun piece. So what use is he going to be? Selling hot dogs without a bun? But the molding itself is such a nice detailed molding. He's like, I guess, maybe my 8th favorite or 9th favorite. But yeah, I just wish we would get a bun piece so I could find a use for him. Maybe selling hot dogs. But he doesn't even have any leg or torso printing, which is a little bit weak. I know we wouldn't see those, but it would have been nice to get maybe some underneath. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on this guy. Oh, and this one is the Lady Cyclops. This is a bad minifigure. I do not like this minifigure. I think she's an awful minifigure because of the printing on her mask mold, I guess you could say, even though I know it's not a mask. They put lipstick and they put a little mole, and that ruins the design, because it would be nice to get, sure, a Lady Cyclops, but we could also use the design for any other Cyclops or something like that. But because it has those, it's very limited to having one. I don't know. I guess for me, it personally limits the use, so I can't use this in like a fantasy, kind of more serious-driven faction or whatnot. And her legs and her torso are nothing too special. But I do like her face print. I think her face print's really cool. And I love how that came out, because it looks really cute. And the outside looks so menacing and mean. It's just like, I don't know. I'm definitely going to use the face print, but I'm not going to use anything else, honestly. And last up is the Galaxy Trooper. And the Galaxy Trooper is a pretty cool minifigure. Not one of my favorites, but not one of my least favorites. He has a very nice new design for his chest plate, which is very complex and very nicely designed. Would have preferred if it didn't have the 2 logos on it, but other than that, looks pretty nice. And his accessories aren't anything special, just 2 guns. But he's pretty cool. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this series. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Sorry if I talked really fast in this one. I just have to get it under that 15 minutes time limit. And yeah, that's it. And I'll see you guys later.